Here's the brutal truth. Untouchability is not luck, it's strategy. The world respects only those who radiate invincibility, enforce consequences, and make even the boldest think twice before testing them. If people believe touching you has a price too high to pay, you gain leverage, authority, and freedom. Power isn't about being liked, it's about being untouchable. Look at history. The Medici family didn't rely on charm alone to survive political storms. Their aura of untouchability, cultivated through wealth, influence, and reputation, kept assassins at bay. They weren't physically invincible, they were strategically untouchable. That perception created fear, respect, and control. Everyone knew that to cross them was to risk catastrophic consequences. Untouchability is a moat built not from walls, but from calculated perception, decisive action, and the discipline to enforce consequences. This video is about understanding that power is not just action. It's reputation, boundaries, and calculated fear. You must act untouchable or make touching you fatal. Every interaction, decision, and display of authority is a brick in the moat that protects you. Those who ignore this risk being manipulated, undermined, or destroyed. Here's the brutal truth. Your presence can be your deadliest weapon. Before anyone ever touches you, they must perceive your invincibility. The aura you project, calm, confident, untouchable, is the first line of defense. Weakness invites interference. Hesitation invites attack. But if you radiate control, strength, and unshakable authority, most threats will retreat before testing you. Look at the Medici family. They weren't superhuman. Assassins didn't fail because of mystical power. They failed because the Medici cultivated an aura of untouchability. Their reputation, wealth, strategic alliances, and decisive actions projected invincibility. People feared the consequences of crossing them. That aura alone prevented countless attacks and maintained dominance in a volatile political landscape. Influence, fear, and authority flowed to those who mastered perception before conflict. Now, let's make this brutally personal for you. How often do you enter rooms or approach situations meekly, unsure if you command respect? Every moment of hesitation, doubt, or meekness erodes perceived power. To be untouchable, you must project an aura of invincibility at all times. Walk tall, speak deliberately, and act with unshakable confidence. Let every action, glance, and gesture communicate that testing you is dangerous and costly. People respect what they fear, and they follow what they cannot challenge. Here's the tactical reality. Untouchability begins with perception. You must act decisively, exude confidence, and let others sense that boundaries exist, boundaries they dare not cross. Your presence should make hesitation instinctive in others. Every weak or timid action chips away at your untouchable status. Cultivate poise, mastery, and a reputation for decisive consequence. This week, identify one area of your life where your presence is underestimated. Enter it with full awareness, project authority, and make the energy in the room respect you before a word is spoken. Remember, an aura of invincibility is your first line of defense. Master it, and you make others think twice before touching you. Here's the brutal truth. Untouchability isn't just perception, it's enforced reality. You don't become untouchable by looking powerful. You become untouchable by making consequences unavoidable. Every action, boundary, and rule you set must carry a price so steep that even the bold hesitate. Think of it as a moat surrounding your influence, your territory, your life. Anyone who crosses it risks falling into chaos you've engineered. Look at the Medici family. Their untouchable status wasn't mystical, it was meticulously enforced. Rival families, political enemies, and opportunists quickly learned that crossing the Medici came with consequences that could destroy fortunes, reputations, and lives. The fear wasn't abstract, it was real. That moat of consequences protected their power and ensured survival in a cutthroat world. Influence without enforced consequences is fragile. Respect without risk is fleeting. Now, let's bring this brutally close to you. How often do you let people test boundaries without pushback? How often do you ignore small violations, hoping it won't matter? Every unpunished transgression chips away at your untouchability. To be truly untouchable, you must enforce consequences visibly and decisively. Make it clear that attempting to cross you, whether socially, professionally, or personally, comes with a price too high to pay. When people understand that touching you risks harm, loss, or humiliation, they hesitate, and hesitation is power. Here's the tactical reality: your moat isn't a threat, it's leverage. Every boundary must be backed by action. Test it. Let someone challenge it intentionally. Enforce it publicly, decisively, without apology. Let them learn that the cost of intrusion is immediate and undeniable. This is how untouchability is maintained, not through bluffing, but through strategically enforced consequences that others can't ignore. This week, set one boundary so firm that someone has to test it. When they do, enforce it decisively and visibly. Make the cost unmistakable. Observe how respect, caution, and authority shift around you. Remember, consequences are your moat. Untouchability is defended by the price others fear to pay. Here's the brutal truth: untouchability isn't passive, it's enforced with precision. It's not enough to project invincibility or set boundaries. Those who truly dominate ensure that anyone who crosses them suffers consequences so severe that they never forget. Touch once, regret forever. That's how fear, respect, and authority become permanent tools of power. Look at the Medici family. They didn't just deter enemies with wealth or alliances, they acted decisively against anyone foolish enough to breach their territory. One misstep, one violation, and the offender paid a price that echoed through their world. That reputation, the certainty of regret for challengers, protected their influence and kept rivals in check. Untouchability is maintained when the cost of interference is immediate, unforgettable, and absolute. Now, let's bring this brutally close to you. How often do you let small violations slide, thinking it's minor or harmless? Every tolerated infringement weakens your influence. True power isn't negotiated with weakness. To be untouchable, you must ensure that anyone who challenges you learns the full cost of miscalculation. Make your actions precise, decisive, and memorable. One test should be enough to ingrain respect, or fear, forever. Here's the tactical reality: cultivate a reputation where hesitation becomes instinct in others. Let them know, implicitly or explicitly, that violating your boundaries is catastrophic. This isn't about cruelty, it's about self-preservation, strategy, and dominance. When executed consistently, it ensures your aura, your moat, and your untouchability are unassailable. People respect what they cannot challenge, and they fear what leaves a lasting mark when disrespected. This week, identify one boundary you enforce and ensure the consequences of violation are unmistakable. Let the lesson be public, precise, and unforgettable. Watch how perception shifts: hesitation, caution, and respect replace boldness and presumption. Remember, touch once, regret forever. That is the law of untouchability, and mastery demands you enforce it without apology. Here's the brutal truth: Untouchability isn't a tactic you deploy once. It's a lifestyle you embody every day. It's a mindset, a presence, and a set of habits that signal to the world that you cannot be trifled with. Projection alone isn't enough. Boundaries and consequences only work if your entire existence radiates invincibility. The world notices consistency. One weak moment, one lapse, and your untouchable status crumbles. Look at the Medici family. Their survival and dominance weren't one-off victories. They were the product of relentless, consistent cultivation of authority, perception, and strategic deterrence. Every decision, every public appearance, every interaction reinforced the message: crossing us is fatal. Untouchability wasn't accidental. It was lived, breathed, and enforced as a constant standard. Now, let's make this brutally personal for you. How often do you allow lapses, moments of uncertainty, or signals of weakness to leak into your world? Every moment you act ordinary, predictable, or indecisive chips away at untouchability. To truly command respect, you must live it. Enforce boundaries consistently, act decisively without apology, and let your aura of invincibility permeate everything you do. This is no longer strategy, it's identity. People must sense it in your walk, your tone, your decisions, and even your silences. Here's the tactical reality: untouchability compounds when it becomes habit. Each action, each decision, each boundary must reinforce it. Make it obvious, deliberate, and unyielding. Those around you will notice, fear, and respect it instinctively. You don't need to threaten. Your presence, consistency, and enforcement do the work for you. This week, identify one habit, boundary, or behavior that reflects your untouchable persona. Reinforce it daily, publicly if possible, and track how perception shifts. Remember, untouchability is not a one-time act, it's a lifestyle. Live it, enforce it, embody it, and the world will adjust to you or regret ever testing you. Here's the unflinching truth: untouchability isn't optional. It's survival, power, and influence distilled into presence. The world doesn't respect caution, meekness, or indecision. It respects those who radiate invincibility, enforce consequences, and ensure that anyone who crosses them regrets it permanently. To act untouchable is to command space, attention, and authority without asking for permission. History proves it. The Medici family survived assassins, rivals, and political chaos not because they were stronger than everyone else, but because they lived untouchability. Their aura, consequences, and reputation were consistently reinforced. Every violation was met with swift, unforgettable punishment. That consistency created fear, respect, and freedom. Untouchability is built the same way today, not by luck, but by deliberate, calculated action, daily habits, and strategic enforcement of boundaries. Now, let's bring this brutally close to you. How often do you act ordinary, defer to others, or let hesitation dictate action? Each moment of weakness erodes your influence. True untouchability demands presence, decisiveness, and the courage to enforce boundaries publicly and consistently. Make the cost of crossing you clear, unforgettable, and unavoidable. Cultivate habits that reinforce your aura, your moat, and your lethal reputation. This week, implement one untouchable habit or boundary in your life. Enforce it without hesitation. Observe how perception shifts. Watch hesitation, caution, and respect replace presumption and boldness. Remember, act untouchable, enforce consequences, make touching you fatal, and live the lifestyle relentlessly. The world respects only those who embody it fully. Step into it, and you become untouchable or fade into irrelevance.